Brad, were you surprised at all to see Marty St. Louis named as a head coach here? I mean, given the experience that you had with him when he was in Columbus for that time.
Well, it's a little bit of an out of the box pick for sure.
Yeah.
You know, this is a big job in Montreal, as we all know. You know, and I know Marty well just from working with him. You know, I played against him, all those things. He's a fantastic guy, first and foremost. Very passionate about the game. He's a thinker, no question. He's a guy who's going to do well. I think that's going to carry him through his energy, his passion, his love of the game. And he's going to be infectious to those players and give them some energy. I know that right away. You know, and he's going to have a lot on his plate here. You know, you're coming in. It's one thing even to get the job in the summer. Come in mid-season like this, it's a lot, especially for your first time. But I have no doubt he'll put the work and the energy, and you know, I really enjoyed working with him when he was there. We talked a lot and went over things, but so he knows the game. He's a very hockey knowledgeable guy. He's going to do a great job with this group that they have there, I'm sure.
Imagine you guys worked pretty closely when he spent his time with this team. Anything that you picked up from him that you are still using today?
Yeah, I think, you know, when he first got the job and we worked together with the power play stuff, it was, you know, really just how did he see it? You know, as far as a guy that played the position for a long time, what are the things that they talked about? You know, playing against them in Tampa, they had really good power plays. You know, when you looked at the group that they had with Vinny Lecavalier, there was Richards and there was him and there was, you know, Boyle on the point. They had some really good groups there that had a lot of success. So when you've been part of a successful power play, maybe things they talked about, how they tried to generate, you know, some of the language they used. So yeah, there was a lot of little things, and even on the ice, you work with Kenny a lot. He'd get on the ice and work with some of the guys in skill stuff, and I know Kenny really enjoyed working with him too. So a guy like that has a tremendous career. You know, he's very decorated and done a lot of things with the game as a player. But so those are all those things that are going to carry into his coaching here for sure. And those are the experiences you pull from.
Yeah. Give me hints that this was something that he was aspiring to when he was spending time in Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, I knew he had a passion for coaching. He was doing it with his kids. But you know, I think he was dedicated to being with his family and doing that. So yeah, I think that whether that was part of the plan or maybe a very strong ambition moving forward as his kids got older, I'm not surprised that he got into the coaching. I mean, it's something I think he has a real drive to do. So you know, this situation here, there's a little bit of a surprise because he didn't even know if that's where he was wanting to go, let alone take the head coach job of the Montreal Canadiens. So thrilled for him. I think he's like I said, he's going to do a great job.
On your own team, comeback wins, 2 in a row here now. Goal scoring's up. We talked about that yesterday. Kind of harkens back to the early part of the year. Do you have that same kind of feel about the way these guys are playing? Well,
I think like anything, goal scoring produces confidence. You've seen it with with Patty. I mean, he had the multi-goal games are 3 in a row and comes up with a big play last night on the Bjorkstrand goal. So, you know, it builds confidence, and what it does when you're scoring goals is you never feel like you're out of the game. You know, when you're lacking goal scoring, you get behind, it feels like a real tall mountain to climb. But the more, you know, you know, I keep saying you don't want to be in these situations where you're down 2 in the third period. It's the numbers don't work in your favor, and it's not a place you want to be. You want to learn how to play with the lead and close it out the proper way. But in saying that, situations happen and you deal with what's in front of you in that game. So it should give you some confidence that you can dig yourself out of a hole if need be. But again, you'd like to play with the lead and not give up that goal early in the third and have to scratch a claw and come from behind, because it requires a lot of energy to do that. So, but to come out of that break and, you know, you get 1 practice. That's what we have. We get 1 practice out of a 6+ day off break. You know, you're not sure how it's going to look in the game, and you're going to Washington. you come with a big effort. I thought it was a very kind of emotionally attached game, which is taxing. And then to kind of re-energize and get back at it, we get in late, regroup the next day, practice, and then play Buffalo. Come from behind, that's taxing. So these guys, they've put the work in, and it's great to see they got rewarded. And we got another tough game coming here in Montreal.
Yeah, talk about re-energizing. You can have extra pots of coffee around the room tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah,
it's one of those weird 12:30 starts. You got to do it, but
I love them. Even as a player, I'm a morning guy, so I wish they were all at 12 o'clock. You just get up, go play, and then you got the rest of the day to do your thing. But I'm sure these guys would have a different opinion on that. But both teams are doing it. It's not like there's an advantage one way or another. So get up, have your breakfast, have some coffee, and get after.
Any strategy there? You doing anything different, or you just
With me?
I mean, as a coach,
I'm not playing.
but any strategy there for, we've all seen it where that first period is just like guys are sleepwalking through that first
Yeah,
period.
the old adage is, first team to wake up wins, right? We're gonna focus on our start. That's kind of where my mind's at, is making sure we start on time, make sure we kind of get everybody involved early and see where it shakes out to, and just play a simple game. That's when we're at our best, and not trying to overthink it, overdo it. Just play hard, play between the whistles, and get a good start.
On the power play goal last night to tie us the game, all 5 guys in a row touched it before that goal goes in the net. You get a really good zone entry, probably the way, in some ways, the way you draw it up. But are you starting to see those guys had such good chemistry at the start of the year, and then had some guys out because of injuries and stuff like that? But is that chemistry starting to come back a little bit? That they're starting to play, put things together? Obviously, they're scoring goals, but even more than that, the way that they're scoring the goals.
Yeah, well, success helps. We know that. That's the obvious, right? But I didn't really like the first power play though. We're forcing seam plays that aren't there. We talked about not doing that, so it's sticking to the plan. A lot of it, I think Patsy's done a good job of helping coach them through it. So trusting what the plan's going to be, and take what they give you. Again, it's stuff we talked about Marty years ago. There's playing behind coverage, between coverage, taking what's in front of you. And the good power play is what they do is they make those reads, split second reads. Like the first pass on the power play where Jake goes seam pass to Patty, and then Patty goes back. There's a low play in the Yorkie that's wide open, and those are the plays you need to see and make right away. The good power plays, they sense those moments, they make that read, and then they punish you for it. So with production, with the scoring, it's almost like those reads come more natural because you give them the information, but the power plays that click. It's like there's a rhythm to it. They sense that moment, they sense the breakdown and the mistake, and then they capitalize. So you're hoping that's where we get to, and they had that early in the year. I think even though it wasn't perfect, our entries were fantastic. I thought we were getting the production, even though it wasn't perfect at times, and we're hoping to get through to that side of the production with the chemistry again. They're back together. Patty's back, and Jake's back, and getting everybody just kind of on the same page again, which will help.
You've spoken a little bit about Patty, and I think it was harder than people probably realize for him when he comes back after missing all that time to get back into the flow of the game. And just because you miss all that time, you've talked about how hard it is to get that back. Was that something that now people maybe not realize, but now you actually see him kind of get back to the game where it had been, just because he's got that kind of the legs back and things like that?
Yeah, I think the moment you put the jersey on, everyone thinks you're ready to go, right? That's the thing. It's the jersey's on. No one cares how much time you miss. If you're sick, not feeling well, if you're bumped and bruised, that's the hardest thing for these athletes. And when you tell people, if you skated for 5 times in 2 months and then played 3 practices and joined the hardest game in the world, fastest game in the world on ice, and think you're going to be, and he played a real good game. I remember that first game against Nashville. He was, adrenaline gets you through a lot, but then the reality of how taxing it is, how hard it is, get emotionally engaged again, your timing, it's so much harder than people understand. And so that's why I had these conversations with Patty about being hesitant about putting him in. And it's not because I don't want him in the lineup. I'm trying to put him in a position to succeed. And so because of the games got pushed, we got the 3 or 4 practices in a row as a team. We felt like the next 2 or 3, it's going to be more maintenance days and shorter practice. So that was our best situation to get him back in. And so with that came, I think, it's hard to find that rhythm. And so now that we've had some practices, you get him in rhythm, and then we have the break, and now we're back again. So it's a little bit more of an even playing field. He's feeling good, I think. Goal scorers like to score. That gives you energy and confidence. The puck feels lighter. You seem to find the holes. The play seemed a little bit smoother. Your legs are moving better. So, you hope that gets him into a zone that we know these special goal scorers can get to. And even though he didn't score last night, first period, had some really good looks again, some real dangerous shots. He makes a big play on the goal. He was productive for us again. So that's hopefully continues to snowball in the right direction, where his conditioning's a little bit better, his timing gets better, and because he's a guy we rely on.
Is he? You strive to make a connection with all your players, but is he a guy because he's so even keel, or he's so almost deadpan, I guess is the way to put it, at least with us, that sometimes it kind of belies how competitive he is and how much he cares and things like that. Is he kind of sometimes a hard guy to read because he's always so not flat, but he's always on the kind of the same wavelength?
Yeah, Patty's he's a great kid. Once you get to know him, and again, I said this when I took the job, there's a process to getting to know people and interacting with them, and you're going to go through things. And a real good example is when we were in Washington. I pull him off the ice. We have a face-off in our zone. Pull him off the ice, and he's frustrated and really pissed off because he's coming off the ice. But I had to coach him through. I go, there's a situation here. I need the centerman to take the draw, to get it down. He's the stretch guy. You're going back on the ice. Take a breath. And he's like, yeah, no, sorry. He ends up scoring that goal at the end of the period. But there's a method to the madness. I'm not pulling you off, but sometimes we get reactive. Sometimes there's, and again, these are the things you're going to go through as coach and player. And so that's how you build that and some of it's going to be dips, and you're going to not agree with me, and I'm not going to agree with you. But then that process of working through it and what that's going to look like. And, some situations require change for you to get better. And here's what I see, and here's what I'm going to try and help you. Not because I have all the answers, but because I'm trying to make you a better player. And so Patty, he's very complex. He's a thinker. He loves the game. I think he's probably a guy that's misunderstood too. But he cares. He does care. And this narrative that he's lazy or doesn't care is so wrong. I've heard that before. And, I've had people ask me, I said, no, I've never questioned. Sometimes it's body language issues, because he cares and he gets frustrated and he gets down, and that's what gets portrayed on the ice. And so we're trying to work with that, let's stop doing that. That's not helping you. So there's all these little things. But again, the only way this happens is us going through stuff and trying to skate beside him and help, and trying to make him the best version of him that we can for him and for our team.